What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Kevin Jackowitz. This is the Kaged Review, and this is a review for WWE SmackDown for 1/15/19. And after an abysmal Raw, the big question is, did they rebound with SmackDown like they usually do? And the answer for me, not really. Not really. This has been a very, very bad week in WWE programming as far as I'm concerned. You start out with Becky Lynch. She shows up in a car. She gets a real quick interview, says she's going to the ring to talk about Asuka and her match at the Royal Rumble. And as she's walking, there's this just brain dead segment that has Heavy Machinery and New Day, and Heavy Machinery's making this weird shake filled with pancake batter mix, actual pancakes, tuna fish, eggs with the shell. Mix it up, he starts drinking it, and Becky Lynch is actually a part of this, where she walks up, he's like, "You want a drink?" One of the guys from Heavy Machinery, Otis, and she takes a swig. It was stupid. It was just absolutely retarded. And there were people that were actually making comments on Twitter how they thought it was funny, and I'm just like, how? I just don't get it. I didn't see it as funny at all. I feel like it was one of the worst openings for a SmackDown that could have possibly been. Becky Lynch goes to the ring. She cuts a promo. She does a pretty good promo talking about her match with Asuka. How Asuka was supposedly, the undefeatable person until she met Charlotte. And she talks about how she's been beating Charlotte all year long. Asuka shows up. And then they break what could have been a good moment with the Iconics. They come out with their terrible shtick, the horrible promos. And so it leads into Becky Lynch versus Peyton Royce. There's no stakes. You already know Becky's going to go over. There is no way in hell they're going to make Peyton go over Becky. And that's exactly what happens. Asuka, she gets all pissed off and flustered. She starts screaming something in Japanese to Becky Lynch. Goes out, grabs one of the Iconics, Billie Kay, as they're walking up the ramp. And then there's a match with Asuka versus Billie Kay that lasted probably 30 seconds. Asuka crushes her. None of this bears any weight to anything. It was honestly a really bad opening and did nothing for Becky Lynch or Asuka, to be very frank. And then they have to figure out a way, of course, to separate the girls. And so AJ Lee, or not AJ, yeah, AJ Lee, that would be awesome. AJ Styles' music hits, and they just separate and start walking up the ramp. Didn't make much sense. And then you see AJ go from the ramp area walking to the ring to going through the audience, walking up the stairs to what we find out is toward concession. You hit commercial and come back. AJ Styles is doing a promo like Daniel Bryan did the week before, where he's out there with the fans in concessions talking about eat all the hot dogs you want. He's throwing his own merchandise out to the fans. And Daniel Bryan comes out of nowhere. They start a fight. Daniel Bryan gets slammed into a table, and that's kind of where it's broken up. It was a decent segment, I think. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of them, and I think part of the problem is you've had the focus on AJ and Daniel Bryan for so long that they're trying to, give other people a chance, which is great, but you got to construct it so much better than what they are. So after that, you get an Usos promo. Jimmy's, I guess, birthday or some shit, or Valentine's Day. I don't know what they were talking about, but either way, he gets a gift from what he initially thinks is Naomi. Turns out to be Mandy Rose, which is a key to her hotel room. Samoa Joe EC3 backstage bit, another awkward, just weird way of throwing in all these new characters. And I gotta say that WWE at this point has screwed up every single introduction, every single debut for every single person coming up from NXT. They have just fucking ruined it. So backstage, you get an interview with Andrade Cien Almas where he actually talks for a minute. And most of the interview is, of course, carried by Selena Vega. He's got a match with Rey Mysterio. They're talking about he's going to win. Nothing major there. Mustafa Ali versus Samoa Joe is next. And Mustafa, he comes out to the ring. Samoa Joe's already there. Samoa Joe knocks him off the ring turnbuckle. Goes to whipping his ass. The match gets thrown out. Nothing happens. It was a waste of motion. for both of these guys. It does nothing for either one of them. And it was a waste of spot. There was no match to it. So, then you get Sonya Deville, Mandy Rose backstage. Sonya Deville is talking about how she thinks Mandy Rose is probably taking this a step too far. And Mandy saying she wants to split up the marriage between Naomi and Jimmy Uso. I don't know. Didn't care. Backstage Samoa Joe interview. He's talking about how he's going to win the Royal Rumble. And he's going to, take his frustrations out, show no respect to 29 other guys. It was, I've always said Samoa Joe is good at promos, and he is. They could give him shit to work with, and he would make it happen. He would make it something good. And, it's not doing anything for Samoa Joe at this point. He's always great at promos, but they're just throwing shit together in this. So far, you're at like the first hour of 2-hour program. And a lot's happened in the first hour, and I said the same thing on Raw. A lot happened, but it was a lot of bad things. Nothing really of consequence so far has happened. There's been no matches of consequence. You know the first two with Becky and Peyton Royce and Asuka and Billie Kay were going to be absolute squash. And, the first match with Becky and Peyton wasn't really a squash match. Second one was. But you knew who was going to win. There was no stakes involved in it. It was just thrown together. It was shit. And this is where people start losing momentum, honestly. Becky Lynch is on this great run, and this is what they're using right now. The Iconics. It's stupid. It's just fucking stupid. So after that, you get Rey Mysterio versus Andrade Cien Almas. This was easily the match of the night, and quite frankly, the match of the week. Rey Mysterio, Cien Almas, they started with some very cool moves. It wasn't necessarily as fast-paced as a lot of lucha matches, but it was good. Everybody was invested. The crowd really was into this match. And it seems to me that Andrade Cien Almas and Rey Mysterio together are just fucking magic. They have some really good, unique matches. And to have something where it's like, hey, I've never seen that before in this day and age in wrestling, really says something about these guys, especially Rey Mysterio, who's been doing this for so long. So I was super impressed with the match. At the end of the day, Selena Vega, of course, she gets involved. She tries to trip. And kudos to Selena Vega, because she went to go sweep Rey Mysterio when he was going to do a 619, going to sweep his leg out. She missed, and you could tell it was kind of a miss thing. She had the presence of mind. Rey Mysterio is going up to the top rope, so she immediately climbs up on the apron to distract the referee and still get the distraction. Key point there. That's thinking on your feet. So it was very good on Zelina Vega's part to do that. Allows Andrade to cheat, get the win. He gets the heel persona. He's a new guy. So I kind of like that. They're using the guy who is clearly a veteran and nothing's really going to happen to his name over this match. You've got somebody they're building up in Andrade, so I liked it. I liked where they went with it. Then you get this really just, segment with Mandy Rose, Jimmy Uso, and Naomi. Jimmy Uso, he's got the hotel card. He's at the hotel. He knocks on the door. He uses the card, goes in. Mandy Rose is in the chair wearing some skimpy shit. This dude comes in, takes a bunch of photographs real quick, runs out. Mandy says, she's going to use this to ruin their marriage, Naomi and Jimmy's. And Jimmy's just sitting there, like, nodding his head, like, okay. And he walks out, and then comes Naomi, of course, knows the whole bit. And it doesn't do anything, because they start a fight, they have a scuffle, it was whatever it was was kind of awkward. But then they have kind of Mandy Rose on top at the end. She throws Naomi over a chair, she's on the ground, holding herself. Mandy Rose runs out of the room. It was just dumb. Like, if you're going to do something like this, build up the storyline where at least, like, somebody gets the upper hand definitively and you've got something to work with next week. This is just kind of sloppily put together, in my opinion. It just was. And plus, I do like Mandy Rose in the ring, but she has all the acting ability of an amateur porn star. I'm sorry. She's just horrible acting in this with her. One thing I do like about the Usos is they can come across with their own personality and it sells very well. Naomi, I would say the same thing is probably true for her as with the Usos. You know, her own personality comes through very well. I don't necessarily gravitate towards her personality as much. Like, it's just not my shtick. I really like the Usos. I'm not a big fan of Mandy Rose as far as her acting ability, though. It was pretty bad. So, you lead that right into the Shane McMahon birthday party at the Miz host. He has this nice promo package, you know, chronicling the career of Shane McMahon. And they sing happy birthday, and then of course the bar is going to interrupt and make some shots that, you know, Vince McMahon didn't want to be here because he doesn't like you and whatever. And so Shane McMahon builds the match for The Miz versus Sheamus. That's where they close the show. Decent match for what it was. Nothing really great about it. I'll be honest, I was kind of tuned out a little bit, if I'm being completely honest. I was just whatever at the end of the show. And so that's where it was. I mean, they had a spot where Cesaro gets knocked off the apron of the match when he's trying to interfere into the birthday cake. And then The Miz gets the roll up on Sheamus. After the match, they have Shane McMahon do the coast to coast to Sheamus with a birthday cake in his face. And unfortunately, it looked like Shane landed kind of rough. And he was holding his back and limping, his like lower back, and limping after that. So you gotta remember, man, he's not 25 anymore, as his birthday should prove. So it's like, I don't know, man. Overall, I was not impressed with the show. It took them an hour to get anywhere with anything, and there were some very, not just not good promos, but just bad, really bad promos in this show. Starting out with Heavy Machinery right away, horrible. I thought there was nothing funny about it. I know some people were saying it was. It was just stupid, in my opinion. Just stupid. Iconics, horrible promo. 2 squash matches. The Samoa Joe EC3, bad. Mustafa Ali Samoa Joe match getting thrown out, bad. Hotel room bit, I was not a fan of that either, to be very honest. So really all you've got is a little bit of, you know, okay programming with the Shane McMahon birthday party and the match afterward, and Rey Mysterio Andrade Cien Almas, which was really the only standout match of the whole week. So I'm going to give it a 1 out of 10. I gave Raw a 0 out of 10. It just goes to show you can't make empty promises and go back to the same shit and expect people to still like it. That's exactly what they have done. Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Shane McMahon, Triple H, I've said, they came out, they made this big speech about how they're not doing what the fans want. The fan backlash literally made them come out and say something, and then they just went back to status quo. And then they just went back to status quo, and that's where we've been left. And so it's a very poor product at the moment. I'm not a fan. I'm sorry. I want to be, but I cannot be a fan of this quality of product. I just can't. So ladies and gentlemen, that's where I'm at. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you enjoyed this or if you agree with me, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackowitz. Kaged Nation out.